Everybody, this is the news that we are waking up to for Wednesday, February 26, 2025, day 1099 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine, and day 46 of the subversion of the U.S. federal system by malign foreign powers in the re-election of the person of Donald Trump. Now, boy, the Russians keep pouring it on, boy. This is about the last cold day of the winter, it looks like. Starting tomorrow, temperatures really rise. We don't have any more temperatures in the teens in the forecast, and it looks as though our 21-day winter is coming to an end. So we will see whether or not the Russians stop turning the screws the way that they have been. Overnight last night, there were 6 people unalived across the country, and one of them here in Kyiv. One of the drones came down and it hit a house here in Kyiv, a private residence. 19-year-old girl was injured. One of the household occupants was unalived in the attack. Of the 177 drones that were sent at the territory of Ukraine last night, 176 were intercepted, shot down, or taken out with active countermeasures, for a 99.4% interception rate. God bless the Ukrainian armed forces. There are signs of trouble in paradise, boy. Right? These two are not telling the same lie. And so it's causing friction between them. We all know that Vladimir Putin will never, in a million years, agree to NATO troops as peacekeepers in Ukraine. Never. He said it bluntly. He said it flatly. Trump yesterday said, oh, yeah, he's good with it. Well, the Kremlin came right out and flatly denied that, boy. And so there's a little trouble brewing in paradise because neither one of these guys likes to be corrected, shall we say. Now, guys, the really big news and what I want to talk about here today is the rare earths deal. We don't know much about the details of it yet. But according to the New York Times, the U.S. and Ukraine have come to terms on a deal. According to the New York Times, it's not the same kind of neo-colonial economic coercion of the first deal, that many of the worst provisions of that for Ukraine have been removed. The BBC elaborates on this a little bit. It's not a $500 billion deal, but we don't know yet what it is. And it comes with no security guarantees for Ukraine, which is a tragedy all on its own. The BBC quoted Zelensky as saying, I can't sell out our state. And of course, he's quite right. Now, there's all this talk about rare earths, right? And I think a lot of people maybe don't know what that is or why it's so important. So let's talk about that for a second. This right here is a neodymium magnet. These are essential for the production of Teslas, right? This is a very powerful magnet. Maybe I can give you a sense of it here. Whoa, right? You see that? That's fun. I actually use it. One of my doors doesn't close properly, and I use it to keep that door shut. Here's the thing about neodymium, right? You can't make Teslas without it and lithium. And I can tell you right now that the best surveys of the world, the U.S. Geological Survey, indicates that there is not enough neodymium on the planet to make 1 Tesla for every American, let alone for the whole world. Not nearly enough. And the reality is that these magnets are essential to a green future, as is lithium, particularly for the production of batteries. Now, when we look at the world itself, one of the things that we see, and again, the source for this is the U.S. Geological Survey, There is not a lot of this shit in the world. This is why we call them rare earths. Things like neodymium, praseodymium, titanium. Everybody knows titanium, right? Titanium's a great example because everybody knows that the space shuttle tiles are made with titanium, right? It can get very hot. It's a strong tensile material. It can take the heat without melting, without burning up. And so for heat shielding on the space shuttle, it was the ideal material. And it has many, many other uses. When we look at the world, what we know about the world's deposits of these rare earths, it is estimated that as much as 60% of that could be inside the People's Republic of China. Right now, the People's Republic of China is responsible not only for producing most of the world's rare earths, but for refining them. So other nations that don't have the refining capabilities send their rare earth ores to China for separation and refinement, which right now, last year, 2024, China refined 89% of the world's rare earths. This combination of sourcing and refining capability gives China a virtual monopoly on these materials that are essential to a green future. Now, there are probably asteroids in the asteroid belt that are loaded with this stuff. But instead of looking to space to answer our problems, instead of moving forward the way that we should be as a species, we are down in the dirt, desperately trying to grab the limited amount of these things that are on this planet. And nothing could exemplify that more. Nothing demonstrates that writ large more than the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The initial invasion over fossil fuels, right, because a bunch of gas reserves were proven around Crimea around 2012. And if Ukraine had been able to develop them, they would have threatened Russia's gas pipeline monopoly to Europe. Putin couldn't have that. Hence the invasion of Crimea and the Donbass. In the Donbass, we have a proven lithium reserve where the lithium ore is as much as 1.24% of the ore. Now, 1.24% doesn't sound like anything, right? But you take tons of ore out of the ground, you get tons of this stuff. And this stuff is rare and critical to a modern technological future that does not depend on fossil fuels. So I think we can all see where this is going. Ukraine, it's estimated, has 5% of the world's ores of rare earths, graphite, titanium, lithium, uranium, and then some others like praseodymium, neodymium, technetium, etc. Now, Ukraine suddenly becomes very important if the U.S. wants to break the Chinese monopoly on these rare earths. With 5% of the world's resources here in Ukraine, that gives the Ukrainians a bargaining chip that I pray to God that this deal that they've made serves the Ukrainian people. I think it must. I think it must. The Russian threat for Ukraine is an existential one. And as Zelensky said, he would not sell the country out. So let's hope that when we get the details on this deal, it's not too exploitive. But you can see the lithium that he needs, and it's not on this chart, but I know that there are neodymium reserves here. If you look at those rare earths, red spots, that's where the neodymium will be, along with the praseodymium and some others. Look at the titanium reserves. Holy cow. And titanium is extraordinarily useful. Look at the uranium reserves. And uranium is important, of course, because it fuels our nuclear reactors, and we used to buy a lot of it from Russia. Thank God, under the Biden administration, the Congress prohibited the purchase of uranium from Russia. So Russia is looking to get its markets back that it's lost under sanctions. And it is absolutely willing to sell out its own reserves for Western development of them because it doesn't have the technology or the expertise, because Russia is a terrorist state. They don't create things. They don't invent things. They just copy and steal from the rest of the world. Now, what American company would go into Russia, having watched the way that the Russians just raped the oil and gas industry when this war happened, the way that they nationalized the assets of Western companies to the tune of close to $1 trillion. I mean, the Uniper deal alone was billions of dollars. And that was 7 power plants that they nationalized, just stole from. Uniper is a German and I want to say one of the Scandinavian countries. It's not wholly German owned, but anyway, Uniper Technologies, 7 power plants just stolen from them. Danone yogurt, the entire business taken from them. Jarlsberg beer, the entire business taken from them. The ExxonMobil, the Shell development in the Arctic, all seized by Russia. Who would then turn around and start mining Russian uranium is beyond me. But Vladimir Putin has said the words, we are open to American investors coming in and developing our resources in Russia and in our newly acquired historical lands, meaning the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, are on offer to the highest bidder from the West, which has had an amazing blowback in Russia. The mill bloggers are all out of their minds that the president of Russia is offering to their enemies the sacred territory that they fought and bled for and died for. So increasingly, the mill blogger community is critical of the Kremlin regime, and that is something to watch. That's a domino to watch, because that ultra-nationalist Russian mill blogger community has been a pillar of support for the Kremlin and for Putin. Now, what has been the reaction here in Ukraine? I'm going to play this video, even though it's extremely difficult to watch. It is the video of a child on the grave of his father. His father is a fallen Ukrainian hero. And look at him. And in the comments on Telegram, a Ukrainian asked the question, how will we tell the orphans that their fathers died so that they could be robbed by allies? To these children and to everyone who lost loved ones in this war, may life grant you ease so that the burden becomes lighter. Now, again, we don't know the terms of the deal. So I am hopeful that when we get those terms, we will see something that looks equitable and creates a revenue stream that will not only benefit American corporations and our deep economic ties to Ukraine, but will benefit the future generations of Ukrainian children and help rebuild the infrastructure here for them. This, of course, so while the Americans and the Ukrainians are talking about rare earths and developing new technologies from them, while the Ukrainians are testing laser weapons on the battlefield for the first time, the Russians in the East are now forced to move about on horses, mules, donkeys, and even camels. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the devolution of the Russian Federation into a 19th century imperial force on horseback with sticks and stones as weapons. It's astonishing. While the Ukrainians are pushing the boundaries of technology and drone warfare in ways that nobody could have imagined at the beginning of this war. It is a stark contrast between the two, where on one side, technology is saving the lives of the men and women of the Ukrainian armed forces and dealing death blows to the endless human waves that Russia is happy to sacrifice until the Ukrainians run out of bullets. It's obscene. All right, that's it for me. That's the news that we are waking up to this morning. I will see everybody in the live tonight. Thank you all so much. Make it a great day.